Alright guys, so we have discussed two things about environment. What are those? One are the three set of problems that we need to understand in environment, and then we discuss the framework. Now, it is very important for somebody to understand the environment in depth, which is what is called as environmental analysis. What are the factors to be analyzed? And the two things that are supposed to be discussed in this topic are the factors. We will discuss that in detail as to there are several things in the environment. What is that factor called as? What is that problem that we discussed, that there are too many number of diversity? Very good. The number of factors are too many. Diverse number of factors are there. So we will discuss what we should do it. And then why do you have to do all this? A very important short answer question at this point in time are the three goals. Alright, when we get there I will tell you what it is. So right now let's go and read what is this concept of environmental analysis. Chalo, see there. Guys, yesterday when I started discussing with the environment, we just talk about a particular point. What is that? Environment is stable or environment is changing? Environment is changing or environment is static? Static means what? No change, as it is. Dynamic means what? So what is environment? Environment is static or dynamic? Environment is static or dynamic? What is the answer? It is a dynamic is a general answer. But sometimes, in some quadrants, environment is also static for some short period of time. That means there is no change in that. What was there is continuing to be there. But yeah, a change is expected. How frequently does the environment change? How frequently does it change? Very frequently it changes. Sometimes it might not change at all. Sometimes the longevity is more, sometimes it is not. So that is exactly why environment is generally termed to be dynamic. It is sometimes relatively static. Not static as it is, relatively static. When you compare to the situation, that time it is termed to be static. Right. So guys, tell me one thing. Is there one single strategy that we can follow always? No. When the environment changes, should we also adopt? It is like playing the game of cricket. Right. First a few overs, like say first 12 overs are being bowled only by 2 bowlers. Right. What happens is, like after playing 2 or 3 overs, the batsmen are getting used to those bowlers. So they know that what are the combination of those 6 balls being bowled in every over, how to tackle the bowler. They are not letting their wicket down. And after a set of 12 overs are done, the captain on the other side is thinking, no, okay, these people are well set. They have understood how to handle both these. That is when suddenly we will expect what? A bowling change. When some new bowler comes in, brings in a new way of delivery, that could be a wicket taking ball. Why? Is because suddenly I am not used to it. A change in environment. How to tackle this bowler? By the time I make the strategy, he's already got into his strategy. Because when as a batsman, if I have a strategy, as a bowler he will also have strategy. So guys, every time there is a change in the environment, you might as well have to change your strategy. But that statement may not be also written the same way. Sir, should I every time definitely change? Not required. Sometimes you can stay silent also. Sometimes you can change. Sometimes you need to proceed with caution. 3 responses are there. There's a separate topic at the later point in time in the chapter. Topic number 18, we will be dealing strategic responses to the environment. Environment is relatively, changing all the time. So should we change along with the change in the environment, or should we keep quiet? It's a very important question. When we get there, we will talk about it. Right now, the short answer question that can come up is, why are we supposed to do something like environmental analysis? 2 important questions right now. What is environmental analysis and what are the goals? Right? What are the 3 goals? When a company ceases to adjust to the changes in the environment, or underline, does not react to the demands of the environment by changing its strategy. So guys, a company is not adjusting to the changes in the environment, it seems. Then what will happen? The result is, underline, reduced achievement of your objectives. You won't be able to achieve your objectives. From environmental analysis, strategists get time. So why are you doing environmental analysis? So that the strategists get time to anticipate opportunities, to plan, to take optional responses to these opportunities. It also helps strategists, underline, to develop an early warning system. To develop a early warning system to prevent threats or develop strategies which can turn out a threat into a firm's advantage. where you're turning the firm's threats into advantage. That won't happen on day one. That's a very, established firm's reaction. A newly started firm can't turn a threat into a good space of doing something. That's not possible. But sometimes, it does matter. Check there. To prevent threats or develop strategies which can turn a threat into the firm's advantage. It is clear that because of the difficulty to assess the future, correct? We are not future tellers, we are not astrologers, we are neither God. So we don't know what's going to happen in future, and assessing the future is very unpredictable stuff, right? Assessing the future. Underline, not all future events can be anticipated. Can we do that? No. Not all future events can be anticipated. So what should we do? Solution is, but some of them can be. Like say there can be a market slowdown. Like say in the coming 2 months the demand for particular product will be, like say for example, right, let's say summer is approaching. The demand for mangoes will go up is something that we understand. Sir, this is December, January, February, next 3 months it's going to be extremely cold. The demand for woolen clothes will go up. Sir, what's coming is May, April, right? Demand for ACs, coolers go up. There is a seasonal demand. So not everything can be predicted, 100%, agreed. But certain things can be. At least anticipate. You can't be exact on it. At least we anticipate those. But some things can and are. To the extent that some of the most are anticipated by the analysis and diagnosis, managerial decisions are likely to be better. If you can understand the situation, anticipate it and do something, likely to be much better. And the process reduces the time pressures on the few which are not anticipated. Thus, the managers can concentrate on these few, underline, they can concentrate on these few. Which are those few? That are having, instead of having to deal with the all influences. Is that what we picked up from the previous topic also? Should we focus on those that affect us, or should we focus on everything? So the last line continues to tell you the same thing. Managers can concentrate on those which are being anticipated and not on all of those. Why do you do all this activity? Why are you doing all this activity? There are 3 reasons why you do all this, right? Guys, if your competitors are able to read the environment better than you, will they capture better market? Yes. Is there a possibility that they can do that or not? So therefore, you don't give them that chance. I mean, if I have to not give them the chance, should I also understand environment or not? That is exactly what I am asking you to do now. 3 solid goals are there. Check that out. Why are we doing an environmental analysis? Reason number 1. The analysis should provide an understanding of, underline 2 things, current and potential changes. Understanding of current and potential changes. Understanding of current and potential changes that are taking place in the environment. Current changes means what? What are happening now. Potential changes are what may happen in future, which can, they are not sure. Potential, what may happen in future. It is important that one must be aware of the existing environment. So existing environment, if you are aware, you can deal today, tomorrow. What about 3 months later? I am not saying you have to be completely planned for what you are doing in the 3 months, but at least should you be prepared. So you don't have to plan for next 1 year or next 2 years, but at least you should be prepared if something like that happens. Like say when I know that something like a global recession is going to happen in the next year, I should start gearing up from now only, protecting my company, not to be a victim in the recession. Because if I am not ready, suddenly if there is a recession, then there is no uptrend in the market, nobody buys my goods, I might as well have to shut down my entire business. So anticipate what? Current and potential changes. That is your goal number 1. Why are you studying the environment? Goal number 2. Why are you doing environmental analysis? Environmental analysis should provide environmental analysis. Why are you studying environment? So that it is useful for you to take decisions. At which level? Is it at managerial level and operational level? Those are daily decisions. Anybody can take. Why am I studying my environment completely? I am studying my environment completely because I might as well want to take decisions that shape up my future. They are called strategic decisions. What are they called as? Strategic decisions are taken at which level, guys? They are taken at the top level in the organization, right? So without studying the environment, how will you take decision? Right? I want to diversify into a new product. I want to introduce a new product in the market. Without studying the market, that is my environment, can I introduce a new product? I should be able to understand what is the potential that we have for that product, right? So the second most important thing as to why you are doing environmental analysis is to what? Underline, it should provide inputs, provide input for strategic decision making. Not day-to-day decision making, guys. Day-to-day decision making doesn't need environmental study and all. Internal study is enough. For strategic decisions, which means, right on there in bracket, top level, what decisions are made by CEO, CFO, those guys. And the third goal, why are you doing all this is, it's not just about doing something and writing some things on paper and understanding environment. It should help you shape up your future and boost up your thinking. You get what I'm saying? Environmental analysis should facilitate and foster strategic thinking. Facilitate and foster strategic thinking. Environmental analysis should facilitate and foster strategic thinking in organizations. Typically, which is a rich source of ideas and understanding of the context within which the firm operates. Underline, understanding the context in which the firm operates. It should challenge the current wisdom by bringing, underline, fresh viewpoints so that you can think of it and figure out what are the fresh viewpoints that you can bring into the organization. Understood, guys? What are the three things? Why are we doing environmental analysis? You understand what you are doing now, current and potential changes, providing input for strategic decision making, that is at the top level, and to facilitate and foster strategic thinking, not normal but a strategic thinking. Understood? So this is what is something, that is your short answer which can come up. What is environmental analysis and what are the goals of environmental analysis? Could be a question, right? Then moving up with the same story, what are the characteristics of an environment? Is environment simple to understand or complex to understand? Guys, is the environment easy to understand or is it difficult to understand? Right? Environment's first and foremost characteristic is what? Complexity. Right? Environment is complex. Is environment stable or dynamic? Environment is dynamic. Stable or dynamic? Dynamic, which means it is changing. Now guys, tell me one thing. What is environment? We say surrounding, correct? From where I am seeing, I can see all of you at once. But you can see only me. And you can't see all of us sitting around here in one go. Right? Because right now, we are all in the same premises. Right? We have a same board. Right? You're sitting in the same benches. Everybody in the four walls, all of us, we think that we are in the same environment. You are not. Because what I am standing and seeing here is not what you are able to see. So my perspective of what I can see here is not your perspective of what you can see. So now tell me, right now in this room, as you see me, how many environments are there? For you, how many environments are there? Only one. You, people sitting next to you, people sitting behind you, in front of you, the walls, me, board, and whatever is. This is environment for you. For me, the environment is quite different. All of you together at one slot, then the walls, then my tools that I am using for teaching. So basically environment depends on what? Environment depends on my eyes and your eyes. What you see is your environment. What I see is my environment. Remember always that environment is something which is in the perception of the observer. Right? Environment is what? In the perception of the observer. So guys, how many environments are there here? Multiple environments. If I ask him, he will tell what he can see. If I ask her, she will tell what she can see. If you ask me, I will tell what I can see. So how many environments are there here? Environment is one only for all of us. But it has various ways of being portrayed, which is called as what? Multi-faced. Sir, different environments are there? No. Same four walls for you, same four walls for me. Same benches, I can also see the same benches. You can see this board, I can also see the same thing. Then why is it multi-faced? Because what you see may not be the thing that I see. So environment depends on what, guys? It is in the perception of the observer. Okay, we will catch up with that. And the last and the most important characteristic is, whenever you are studying environment, does it hit you today or does it also talk about future? Today or future? Or there is another both, an option? Both. Right? So what you do today right now here does also have an impact in the longer time. Environment not only has a current impact, environment has a far reaching impact. It's not what you do today that matters in the environment. It's all about anything that can matter at any point in time. That's it. This is what environment is all about. Environment is not easy to understand, which is what is called complexity. Environment is not stable. It means it keeps changing, which is a second characteristic called as what? Dynamism. What each of us see is our environment. So though the environment is around is only one, but we see it in different ways. So environment is multi-phase. And environment is not bothering only about today, it also bothers about future. So it also has a far-reaching impact of what you do now. Are you understanding? Chalo, let's move on. Let's go and read what are the 4 characteristics of environment. Guys, a very important and a easy short answer question. It's been asked in the exam, I don't know how many ever times. So it's a very important question at this point in time. Define environment and explain its characteristics is one of those very important questions. First up, environment is complex. I think you know this. Underline, it consists of number of factors, multiple factors. That is what right from the beginning we are discussing, right? The environment consists of number of factors, events, conditions and influences arising from different sources. All these, underline, do not exist in isolation. Guys, we've all heard this story of an old man with his 5 sons, teaching them, united we stand and divided we fall, right? We have all heard this as a, childhood story of ours to talk about unity. What is that particular point in the story that says, when the stick is, not in the bundle, it is on its own, it's easily broken, correct? When the sticks are bundled together, it is very difficult to break them. That means, to break all of them, do you think there is an extra amount of force to be applied? That means, as a matter of fact, when you have the bundle of sticks, it's very difficult to break. Okay, that's a different story to tell us that unity there creates strength. But is it also understood that unity is creating strength? No, can that be positive or negative? Right, in that story, that idea was positive to stay united. But in this case, we are just picking up that factor from that example, that unity is strength. Now, some of these factors in the environment, each one of you will affect you in some way or the other. When one of them affect you itself, you are being affected. Now, when a few of them join and affect you, their unity, will it have more strength? Obviously, that is the idea. Their unity will have more strength. So, are you affected even more? That is a problem. So, complexity is not a problem. Okay, somewhere or the other you can try and understand. More than complexity, they all are coming together. See, each stick, when you beat with each stick, already there is a force which is going to hit. When all of them are combined and beating, the pain is much more. That is what the 3rd and 4th line says now. See there. All these do not exist in isolation. They are not isolated, but they all interact together and underline, create an entirely new force and a new set of influences. Is that even more problematic? Right? That's even more problematic. It is difficult to comprehend at once the factors constituting a given environment. All in all, environment underline is complex. That is somewhat easier to understand in parts, but very, very difficult to understand in one full go. What is your environment? Maybe few portions of that I can understand and tell, not all at once. Understood? Second factor is something that you know very well. Environment is dynamic. Environment is dynamic. What is that? The environment is constantly changing. Underline, due to its nature and constantly changing in nature. Due to many varied influences operating, underline, there is dynamism. There is dynamism in the environment, causing it to continuously change its shape and character. It is not one stream, it keeps changing. And environment is multi-phased. When I say multi-phased, guys, remember there is a difference between multiple environments and multi-phased environment. In multiple environments, how many environments are there? There are many, right? And such a situation doesn't arise. What is multi-phased environment? There is only one environment, but perceptions are different. Who told you that? The next paragraph tells you that. See there. What shape and character an environment assumes depends simply on, yes, underline, perception of the observer. How I see it, that is my environment. Guys, are you following? Good. A particular change in environment or a new development may be viewed differently by different observers. This is frequently seen when the same development is welcomed and underlined as an opportunity by someone, while another conceives it to be a threat. What nonsense is this? How can somebody consider the same situation as an opportunity while somebody else is considering as a threat? Perception is different. For example, let's say there is increase in tax rates. Is that a change in environment? At the end of the budget, there is a increase in tax rate. Some small companies are there in the market whose profit margin is around 20-25%, at 15-20%. Tax rate went up. They are all crying, "Arey, already we have only less margin. You have increased tax." No sir, it is not profitable for us to do this business anymore. They are going out. The increase in tax rate here, is it viewed as a threat by them? Is it viewed as a threat by them or not? One more company is there, big company. Amma, they increased tax rate, very good. How is that they are saying very good? Because they know that all these small players will go away and they can increase their sales. Now like 5% tax rate increased. Do you think a company like Reliance will bother? No. Why? Because it doesn't really affect them. But at the same time, all those small players for whom 5% actually matters, will they all be out of the market? So all those customers, can these big companies attract or not? So a change is welcomed as an opportunity by somebody which is looking as a threat for somebody else. Sir, what you told, the logic is increase in tax rate. Yeah, correct. Increase in tax rate. Can increase in tax rate be an opportunity for somebody to capture balance market? Yes. Can the same increase in tax rate be an exit point for somebody to move out of the market? Yes. So now tell me, environment is in what we see, or environment is something that is already existing? Is in what we see. It's in the perception of what we do. And last and most important point is environment doesn't only affect you today, it has a far-reaching impact. The environment online has a far-reaching impact on the organization. The growth and profitability of an organization online depends critically. The growth and profitability of an organization depends critically on the environment in which it exists. Any change in the environment will impact the organization in several ways. So what are the 4 characteristics of environment, guys, that can shape up the environment? Environment is complex, too many factors, dynamic, very fast changing, multi-phase, depending on the perception of the observer, and 4, very good, far-reaching impact, because several ways it can affect. Guys, did you understand all the 4 characteristics of environment? What are those? Complex, multi-phased, dynamic, and has a far-reaching. Alright, should I move on to the next concept? Alright, very good. Let's discuss this concept in detail. Components of business environment. I want everybody to start reading what are the components of a business environment and closely observe the diagram to figure out what is what. Right? Can you just spend a minute on reading the next 2 paragraphs and understand what are being discussed? What are the 2 classifications of environment, guys? We started in the beginning itself. Internal and external. Please underline internal and external, the first paragraph, and I want you to focus the second paragraph and read, and then have a look at the circles that are being given and see what is affecting the firm. Closely observe the diagram, guys. You will find a pattern, or you will find something that affects the business. Components So guys, from the first paragraph we have understood that there are 2 things here. What are those? One is something that is internal. 2 is something external. Okay, very good. Concentrate. The environment in which an organization exists could broadly be divided into 2 parts, external and internal. Okay, very good. Since the environment is complex, dynamic, multi-phase, what are those? Those are all the characteristics that you just read. Since the environment is complex, dynamic, multi-phased and has a far-reaching impact, it is divided into external and internal components to understand much better. What are those? The components can be divided into, watch out here very carefully guys, concentrate, then we can come back and analyze what exactly it is. This is the rest of the chapter. This understanding that we are having now, we are going to deal each of those factors in detail in the coming parts of the chapter. So right now I want everybody to focus completely because this is what is going to be dealt in the balance part of the chapter for quite some time. We have a firm that is in the center, which is surrounded by several influences. Who are we closely surrounded by? There are two people who are always connecting us. One, from where we get the raw material. Two, to whom we give the finished goods. Right? So who are there in the market along with you? Who are there? Suppliers are there. Suppliers are always there. And buyers are also there. Suppliers are there and buyers, which are customers. I say, let me be more clear. Let's say customers. Right? Customers are there. Suppliers and customers, two things. So that's not a problem. They are always there. These two people are somebody who are helping us in do our job. This fellow is providing us and this fellow is buying from us. That's not a problem. Do you think there are some other people who are doing the same kind of business that you do? Right? What is that concept called? All of you are economic students. Right? Students from economics, what did you learn? That along with us, there are also people who are doing the same or similar kind of business called as competitors. So there is a concept of competition. Did you read in your CPT? Economics basically talked about perfect competition, imperfect competition. So there is some kind of people who are doing the same kind of business or not? Guys, I want to go a little further and explain you. Competitors are not one set of people. Competition comes in varied forms. Please understand, competition is not a single thing. Competition comes in three forms. How many? Three forms. What are those three forms in competition? One is somebody who is doing a same kind of business. For example, you are selling toothpaste. You are selling what? Toothpaste. They are also selling toothpaste. For example, there is Colgate which is selling toothpaste. There is Close-Up which is also selling toothpaste. And do you think the purpose of both are the same or not? Okay, product may have different attributes. These people who are selling the same product, these are called rivals. Who are they? Who are rivals, guys? Rivals are people who sell the same product. Then comes somebody who sells a similar kind of a product, not same, similar kind of a product which serves the same purpose. Tooth powder, toothpaste or tooth powder, serving the purpose of brushing the teeth. The purpose is same, the forms are different, the products are different. Toothpaste obviously is not the same product like tooth powder, they are different altogether. But they serve the same purpose, right? So since they serve the same purpose, they become what? Substitutes. Competition can exist in its second form called as substitutes. These are people who are there along with you doing the same thing, and these are people who are doing different thing but serving the same purpose. Two types of competition are always there in the market. So let me bring them on either sides. So here rivals are always there. Here substitutes are always there. Now that's not it. There's somebody who can bring in competition from somewhere which was not there in the market till now. Is that competition there in the market till now? No, not there. So from where it is coming? It is coming newly. New entrants. Guys, they are a very powerful source of competition. Who are they? New entrants. Till now they are not there. Now they are coming. Maybe they are bringing the same product or maybe they are bringing the similar product, but they are now coming newly. And they will cause such an impact that they will make all those people who are existing change their behavior. Let me give you a very quick example of what Docomo did when they came into the market. Right? Docomo partnered in India with Tata, we all know that. Right? So as a brand, Tata Docomo, they released their SIM cards into the market. And what was their peculiar point when they came into the market? They started billing on seconds. which was not there in the market till then. So if I was, let's say if I was using a Vodafone connection, I was speaking for 40 seconds, I used to pay 1 rupee for 40 seconds. I spoke for 55 seconds, I used to pay the same 1 rupee. I spoke for 58 seconds, still the 1 rupee. I spoke for 1 minute and 2 seconds, I used to pay 2 rupees. Ideally, for 1 minute, it is 1 rupee. Then I started only speaking 2 or 3 seconds extra. Then I am being charged for a full minute. This was the pattern of billing existing in the market from Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, X, Y, Z, whoever are there in the market. A new entrant brought in that kind of a change. Now tell me, today how all of the billing is happening? All in seconds. Why? Means because of the impact that they created. Okay, it's a different thing because the network was not that great, they were not successful. But had the network been very successful, will they come and turn out to do something like this? Okay, this is a very old example that I gave you, but a very influencing example. They made everybody change their billing pattern into seconds. Okay, very good. Very latest example is about, again in the telecom industry, we have something where data is given free, right? So Reliance came in again as a new entrant into the market. Of course, this time they are giving you free of data or very cheap data at very low cost. High speed data at cheaper cost. Is it now forcing the others to also change their packages or not? Absolutely. So any time a new entrant coming into a market is a very powerful and a potential source of competition for us. So competition exists in how many forms? 3 forms. What are those? People who are doing same kind of product called as rivals. People who are selling similar kind of products called as substitutes. And people who are coming newly into the market, new entrants. And these are people who affect us almost on a daily basis, correct? Because these are all people who are very close to you and they are dealing. Do you think, guys, a country in which we live, does it also matter to a business? Doing business in India and doing business in the United States, is it different? Yes or no? Doing business down in the West, in the United States, back in UK or in Europe, coming back to India, going to Russia, right, going back to some other country, will definitely have an influence. US is a capitalist economy, right, where capitalism was started, and entrepreneurship is encouraged more. Ours is a mixed economy, so definitely there is a difference. Trade barriers are very less in some countries, like say e-commerce, the very minimal trade barriers. You want to start an e-commerce site, you can start. But you want to start a physical, company or an outlet somewhere here, lot of compliances, trade licenses, labor licenses. So, the economy in which you operate, do you think that is also an influence? Though it does not influence you daily, but it does influence. So now I am going to talk about some of the broader factors that affect us. An economy at large is going to influence our business. These are in the outer circle, but they do influence us so much. Economy at large. Guys, a country's rules and regulations, the laws prevailing in a country, do they also affect a business? It's very easy to start a business in India because the laws are very simple. The registration procedures are quite simple compared to some other countries, right? In some countries, outsiders can't start business only. Like if you look at Middle East, right? You want to start a business in Dubai or in any part of any Saudi Arabia, any place in Middle East, you need to have a localite who is holding some share in that business. A complete outsider can't go and start a business there, right? So their trade barriers are there. According to the laws prevailing in that country, will your business be affected or not? The second influence from the outer quadrant is legal legislations and regulations. Legal or legislation or regulatory. Then one of the most important factor that will affect every business is population of a country. Why is everybody so confident that if we start one more business in India, it will be successful? Thanks to its population. We will never fall short of customers unless you do something really wrong, right? population, or it is called, the study of population is called demography. We will discuss this in detail in a short while, don't worry. So population or demography is one of the other important things that one needs to consider. Right? Then there is something, though we have come several thousand years ahead of things and time, there are certain things that don't change. People's beliefs, values, superstitions, caste, creed, gender bias, there are certain things that you can't change. Societal values continue to dominate. Right? Some business are done by some people only, some caste, some community. Why do you like really stick to that? It's because some societal values don't allow some people to take up that business. Yes, so societal values, societal or social values, socio-cultural environment, let me put it, socio-cultural values are also very much influencing. And the recent thing that is very much influencing is technology. With the change in technology, again your business is influenced pretty much. The economy in which you stay will influence you. Legislation and regulatory things will influence. Population or demography will influence. Socio-cultural values can influence. Technology can also influence. This is the outer circle that can affect the firm. Do you think daily socio-cultural values will affect a firm? Supplier, can he affect daily? Yes. Daily supply, customers. So these are very closer sources. These are very broader sources. So guys, what did we deal with? A firm's environment is classified into how many? Internal and external. And this is right now what is surrounding the firm. Right? So what is this? This is the firm's internal environment, and this is the firm's. Mad people, what you need to understand is, firm is the only thing. Anything outside that is external only. Customer is your internal factor. What are you talking? Customer, supplier, substitute, rival, all these are outside. Read the heading carefully once again. So they haven't discussed internal factors as yet. They are only talking about, read the heading of the diagram. External environment can be divided into. So please understand guys, the darker circle that you see there, these are closely external factors. Closely external factors these are, and the outer circle that you see, these ones are largely external. But please understand, both are external. Sir, then what are internal? Internal is within this circle. Right? There is a firm here, no? There is a circle for that firm. Inside here, whatever are there, these are internal. I will talk about them little later. Internal are there inside the firm. So whatever you saw, these 5 factors and the broader 5 factors, all of them are external. Some of them influence you daily, that is why they are closely external. Some of them influence you once in a while. Technology won't change daily. Maybe it may change once in 3 months, but it might affect you once it changes. So, economy, decisions about budget, economy, GDP don't change daily, but when they change, they do affect the business. Legislations and rules are not altered every day, but when they alter, they might definitely have a change. So guys, all these factors, all those factors are what factors? External factors. So now tell me, what is there in the inner circle? Closely external factors. What is there in the outer circle? But all are external. The very fact that we analyze this whole thing is about external environment only. Then you ask me a question, sir, then what is there internally inside the environment? Sure, we will continue reading. Now we figure out what is there inside. But yeah, before we go there, we are supposed to see, guys, external environment online includes all the factors outside the organization which provide opportunity or pose threats to the organization. The internal environment refers to all the factors within an organization which impart strength or cause weakness of strategic nature. The environment in which an organization exists can therefore be described in terms of, underline, opportunities and threats. Coming out from where? Opportunities and threats. Coming out from the external environment, apart from strengths and weaknesses. Guys, so now tell me what are internal to the firm. The two things that are internal to the firm, what are those? Strength, underline strength and weakness. Guys, strength and weakness are the two things that are internal to the firm. Huh? Opportunities and threats are two things that are external to the firm. What the external environment offers us are what? Strength and, opportunity and threat. What we have are what? Our own strengths and weaknesses. How to play a balanced game using our strengths to make the most of opportunities. How to use our strengths to overcome the threats. How to have these weaknesses brought down so that we don't miss an opportunity. How to use these weaknesses not to, how to the threat will exploit us if we let our weakness be. How to bring down these, how to increase these, to capture these, and this entire study only is all about management. We will conduct a SWOT analysis little later. SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunity and threat. You got to study all these 4 points very carefully. Understand what those are. There's a framework we will discuss. Chapter number 3 is there to take care of all that. So right now, did you understand, guys? What are there inside the firm now? In the inner circle, what are there? Strength and weaknesses. Outside, what are all these? Change in economy could be treated as an opportunity. Change in legislation could pose a threat. Suddenly they change the law saying no more liquor production. Okay, they won't change laws like that, but when they change, should that company shut down or not? That's all. Sir, till yesterday the company was a going concern. Very good. Today it is not because law changed. Right? And then population does. There is something called stable population and there is something called migratory population. Stable population is those people who have been living in that area ever since. Migratory population is like in the cities. People come and go. That might definitely influence. Right? Socio-cultural value don't change daily. But when they change, they have a serious effect. So like that, some things prove to be an opportunity, some things prove to be a threat. So you got to be very careful, understand all those. Now I will take you through what those 4 things are. The 4 environmental influences could be described as, come on, read guys, all 4. Opportunity, threat, strength and weakness. Read all 4 and tell me what each one of them are. Come on, read them fast. Opportunity, threat, strength, weakness. I want everybody to read all those fast. So we are talking about 4 items: strength, weakness, opportunity and threat. Strength, weakness, opportunity and threat. Come on everybody, what is strength, guys? Strength is something that is within us, inbuilt. Underline, strength is the inherent capability of an organization. Strength is what? An inherent capacity or a capability to do something. See the third point? A strength is an inherent capacity which an organization can use to gain an advantage over its competitors. What your competitors don't have and what you have. That is called what? A strength. What about a weakness, guys? An inherent limitation. I might not have this advantage. Right? Strength is an inherent limitation. We are talking about opportunity. Opportunity is a very good favorable condition in the market. Underline, favorable condition. Favorable condition. Threat is an opposite of that, then it will be a unfavorable condition. Very good. So guys, these are the 4 points that you need to understand. Come on, you already read strength, let's read weakness. Weakness, underline, is an inherent limitation or a constraint which creates a disadvantage. Strength gave you an advantage, this is bringing down. An example of weakness could be over dependent on a single product line. What if that product line fails? Over. You have to close down the business. Like say for example, if you have multi-product line, one product failed, can you jump over to the other product? Think of companies like ITC, Hindustan Lever. Do they have one product or multiple products? Multiple, that 30-35 products are there. Like say ITC's one division failed, doesn't really matter, because if you know the books division is doing bad, the tobacco division is there to take care, right? If that is doing bad, books division is there to take care. If that is doing bad, there is soaps. If that is doing bad, the retail. right? So there are so many divisions. If one is doing bad, the other can take care. It's a multi-product. Otherwise, if you are excessive dependence on one product and that suddenly failed, that could prove down to be your weakness. Then very good. What is a favorable condition in the market? You should be viewing it as an opportunity. Read the first point. An opportunity underline is a favorable condition in the market. Opportunity is a favorable condition in the organization's environment which enables it to consolidate and strengthen its position. To consolidate and strengthen its position. Growing demand is a good opportunity or not? Guys, growing demand is a very good opportunity so that you can use, and if the demand is going up in the market, you just have to cater them. Then, properly supply in the market, it will be good. Threat, underline threat is an unfavorable condition in the organization's environment which can create a risk or cause a damage to the organization. A threat emerging from strong new competitors, these new entrants, can they be viewed as a threat or not? Guys, they will come and do damage is not something that is definite. They will. But when they enter into the market, can they also turn out to be a flop? Oh, that possibility is also there. It's not always that new entrant will come, change the market, he will capture. There's no rule like that always. A new entrant can also be a flop. They didn't come down with proper marketing and all. They entered the market, it's a flop. It can turn out to be like that also. So it is always not guaranteed that this will always be successful. Are you understanding? Right? So guys, what are the 4 things that we need to analyze? 2 things from internal environment, 2 things from external environment are what? Strength, weakness coming from internal environment. Opportunities and threats coming from? What are opportunities? Favorable conditions. Threats are? Strength is a? Inherent capability. Weakness is a? Inherent limitation. Are you clear on all these points? Very good. Read the last paragraph. You should have an understanding of all these, an understanding of the external environment in terms of opportunities and threats, and the internal environment in terms of strength and weaknesses online is crucial for the organization's survival, that is existence, growth and profitability. Don't you think? What are all those 3 objectives? So simply, in other words, can I rephrase that line and say you should be bothered about your environment to achieve your objectives? Can I rephrase that line and say that? So you study your environment so that you can achieve your objectives. An effective organizational strategy, therefore, is somebody who can capitalize on the opportunity through the use of strength. Sometime back I told you the relation, right? Using strength, how can you capture an opportunity? Using the same strength, how can you overcome a threat? And neutralizing the threat by minimizing the impact of weakness. The process of strategy formulation starts with, and critically depends on the appraisal of external and internal environment of an organization. How good you can understand those will ultimately get you to the understanding. Clear? So this is the study of the external environment. Guys, the circles represent what? Internal environment or external environment? Purely external. These factors are closely external. These factors are? That's all. What is there inside the firm are? Strength and weakness. By seeing, you can't make them. Strength and weakness are supposed to be felt. Right? We will list down what is our strength and weakness little later when we prepare the organization SWOT analysis. Right now, are you understanding the environment? Very good. One last concept before we move on to the next topic to understand what environment is. What is the relationship between an organization and its environment? Very simple concept. Guys, in the beginning, we discussed one topic as to exchanging something with the environment. Where do we draw our inputs from? Where do we draw our inputs from? What do we do with them? Process them. Very good. And then what is developed? Finished goods are developed. Output. Where are you giving those outputs back? Taking and giving. What is the correct word for that called as? Exchange. I took something from you. I gave back something to you. Is it called an exchange or not? So like that, right now I am going to talk and create a relationship between what an organization and environment have. Guys, tell me one thing. We did discuss about the 5 M's, right? Men, material, money, machinery, market. Are these 5 the resources? Where do you draw them from? You draw them from the environment. You will convert them into what? Something else, into an output, which is again given back to the. So is there an exchange of resources between the organization and environment? So guys, here is an organization who is talking to the environment What do they pull in? What comes in? Some of the resources. Men, you can take men from the environment only. Sir, we need some money. Okay, go to the bank, ask a loan. You can obviously get that. Organization is exchanging all the resources, which are our 5 M's. Men, material, money, machinery, market. We are drawing from the environment only. Are you understanding? Then, are we taking some information about what the environment is right now? Yes or no? Then, at the same time, we are also giving where we stand. Exchange of information. Exchange of information. And the most important one that we are exchanging is some kind of influence and power. Like what politicians and all do, exchange of influence and power. These are the 3 things that are exchanged between the environment and the organization, which is creating a relationship between them. Let's read up and understand what the topic is all about. Relationship between organization and its environment. The corporate enterprise draws, underline certain input. Drawing input means from taking it. The corporate enterprise draws certain inputs of resources, information and values from the larger environmental system. Transform them into outputs of products, services, goals and satisfaction and exchange with or transmit them into the external environment, and transmit them into external environment. In this process, it generates energy. In this process, it generates energy and sustains itself. So, where are we drawing our energy from? Environment. What is keeping us energetic? The same environment. What are we giving back to the environment? The same thing. So, we are drawing things, using it and giving it back to the environment. Let's see what are those. First of which is exchange of information. Guys, the organization, underline, scans the external environment variables. The organization scans the external environment variables, their behavior and changes, generates important information and uses it for planning, decision making and control purposes. Planning, decision making and control purpose. Information generation is one way to get out the problems of uncertainty and complexity of the external environment. Yes or no? Guys, if you have more information, will we be able to sort out the complexity much better? There are so many factors out of which we should focus. If we have information, can we focus only on those? And we don't have to break our head on everything, we can focus only on those that influence us. Information is to be generated on an economic activity and market conditions, technological developments, social and democratical factors, political, governmental policies and postures, the activities of other organizations and so on. Don't worry, we will consider all of them shortly. Guys, today's information is important or little future information is also important. The beginning of this class we have discussed that we are also supposed to think of today and at the same time future. Underline, both current and projected information is important. Don't bother only about today because future information is also important. Both current and projected information is important for an organization. Apart from simply gathering information, the organization itself transmits information to several external agencies. Guys, why do we transmit our information to other people? Maybe you are obligated. Like, are you submitting all the current year income that you made to the income tax department? Why? Because you felt good about it? Then, why are you submitting? Because you are obligated to. Are you submitting because they are asking or are you going and submitting on your own? Because they are asking. You are obligated in that case. Sometimes you think you are inviting an investor to invest in your company. Will you submit all the information voluntarily? Yes, because he is investing. So see there, we might end up giving information voluntarily, inadvertently or underline legally. Either they may ask you to submit it legally or you may by yourself go and submit. Other organizations and individuals may be interested in the organization. Other organizations and individuals may be interested in the organization and its functioning and hence approach the organization for information. It is also possible to glean information from the behavior. Glean is to just understand, see through, walk through, understand from their behavior, from its advertisements, from its annual reports, how they are performing and what advertisements are they giving. Guys, by seeing advertisements, can you tell a company is coming out with a new product? Can you tell a company is doing fine? no advertisements are coming from a company, that means the company is not doing that great. Correct or not? Why? Because no advertisements are coming, it's not doing something great. Check that out. Then, also the organization may be legally or otherwise bound to supply information on its activities to governmental agencies, investors, employees, trade unions, professional bodies and the like. So the first thing what is it that we are exchanging between organization and environment is the information. Second point is something that you know, we just discussed that. What is that we are exchanging here? We are exchanging resources, the 5 M's. Can you focus? Where are we getting all that from? Underline, finance, material. Finance means money. Write on the other M above that. Above the word finance, write on money, material, man. Equipment means you can write machinery. So your 5 M's, men, material, money, machinery, market. All these are from the external environment through contractual and other arrangements. The firm sustains itself by employing the above inputs for involving or producing product outputs and services. Then what will they do with the outputs or services? They will again give it back to the environment only. The organization interacts with the factor markets for the purpose of getting its inputs. It competes sometimes and collaborates sometimes. Unlike compete, compete means to fight with the others. Collaborate means to join hands with the others. It sometimes competes and sometimes collaborates with other organizations in the process of ensuring consistent supply of inputs. How it will compete and how it will collaborate, we will see it little later towards the end of this chapter. The organization is dependent on the external environment. Guys, for getting your inputs, are you dependent on the external environment? That is what you read in the first paragraph. Finance, machinery, market, all that material. You are dependent on the, that is for getting in. What about sending out? That's the second paragraph. The organization is also dependent on the external environment, underline, for disposal of its output. The organization is dependent on the external environment for disposal of its output of products and services to a wide range of clients. This is also an interaction process, perceiving the needs of external environment and catering to them, satisfying the expectations and demands of a client group such as customers, employees, shareholders, creditors, suppliers, local community, general public and so on. You are giving all that resources to all these people. These groups tend to press on the organization for meeting their expectations, needs and demands, for upholding their values and interests. So every business, whatever is brought in is also again given back. So exchange of resources, what is the first paragraph dealing with, guys? The first paragraph is dealing with bringing in the 5 M's. The second paragraph is dealing with giving back the output back to the environment to satisfy their needs and demands also. So what are the two things that we exchange with the environment? We exchange information with them. We exchange the resources with them. Let's see the last one. Exchange of influence and power. The external environment holds considerable power over the organization by both the virtue of being more inclusive and also by the virtue of its command over the resources, information and other inputs. It offers a range of opportunities, incentives and rewards on one hand and puts up a set of constraints, threats and restrictions on the other hand. Sometimes the environment is free, sometimes it is restricted. In both ways, underline, the organization is conditioned and constrained. In both ways, the organization is conditioned and constrained. The external environment is also in a position, to impose its will on the organization. Guys, can market scenarios force you to do something? Yes or no? That is what, underline that. They can force it to fall in line, like I just told you some time back. Can a governmental regulation bring about a change in your behavior or not? Yes or no? See there. Governmental control over the organization is one such power relationship. Other organizations, competitors in the market itself, customers, suppliers, investors, whoever are there around you, they also exercise considerable amount of power and influence over the planning and decision making of the business. I am the business and I am thinking not only in my perspective. Should I keep all these people also in mind? I have to. In turn, guys, environment is putting so much pressure on us. That's fine. Can we anytime put a little pressure on the environment? This is not possible for all small companies and all that. But if you are a big, well-established company, sometimes you can challenge the environment. That means you are not under the control of environment. Environment is under your control. But you should be at a whole new level for that. This level where we are talking about is not enough. See there. In turn, sometimes the organization is a very good position to wield, underline considerable power and influence over some elements of external environment. So this time who is controlling whom? The organization is controlling the, very rarely, but yeah, that possibility is also there by virtue of its command, resource and information. Array, simple guys, if you have the resources that nobody else has, if you have the information that nobody else has, you are God. As simple as that. So till the time you are monopoly in the market, which is not a real life situation. You must have read about monopoly in economics, right? It's also not a real life situation. There's no business where there is only single person. It's not a real time situation. Somebody or the other, some copy or the other will definitely be there, right? So sometimes the environment is putting pressure on us. Sometimes we are putting some kind of a force on environment. The same elements which exercise power over the organization sometimes are also subject to influence and power of the organization in some respects. To the extent the organization is able to hold power over the environment, it increases its autonomy and freedom of action. It can dictate terms to the external forces and mold it as per our will. But unless you become a top-notch company, you might not be able to do this. Do you think companies like Reliance can influence governmental decisions? And we have all seen in a country like India, big businessmen also have already, we have seen so much, and in future also, right? Big businessmen, big business houses always, do you think they influence political decisions? It's because they contribute to party funds and all that, they're kind of obligated. So these companies, not just being influenced by the environment, they also have a considerable power to shape up the environment sometimes. Are you understanding? So we are exchanging three things. What are those? Resources, information and influence and power. So if you thought influence and power is only by the environment always dominating all the organizations, you are caught, you are wrong. It is not only the environment influencing the organization, sometimes it is also possible that, very good, the organization can also influence the environment. Did you understand this concept? The relationship an organization and environment shares, the degree of interaction between organization and external environment is set by the above characteristics. It follows therefore that all organizations do not behave in the same way in relation to their external environment. Their structures and functions are shaped in tune with the demands of the external environment. It's always on how you exchange. So guys, in this segment, what are the concepts that we dealt about environment? Why should you do an environmental analysis? What is environment? What are its goals of doing the environmental analysis? Why are we doing it? Then what are the four characteristics of environment? Complex, dynamic, multi-phased and having a far-reaching impact is what we saw. And then we discussed the whole set of internal, external environment, closely external, largely external factors, strength, weakness, opportunity and threat, and the 3 points on exchanging resources, exchanging information, exchanging influence and power. Right from topic number 3 to topic number 9, I want everybody to go through everything once again, which is a complete coverage of the concept of environment, so that you can go ahead and discuss in what are the environment. Every business surrounded by certain small factors like micro and certain larger factors like macro environment. So before we go to discuss micro and macro environment, I want you to go through right from topic number 3 to topic number 9 once very quickly. Come on.